let's dive right into this explainer. Today we're exploring the life and work of Isaac Babel. He was an absolute master of literary compression, someone whose brilliant, brief stories really capture that terrifying collision between intellect and brutal violence. So if you're fascinated by how art can mirror both the absolute darkest and the most vital parts of human nature, well, you're definitely in the right place.
I want you to consider something for a second. Can a simple punctuation mark actually be as deadly as a sword? Now, Isaac Babel believed it absolutely could. He possessed this legendary, almost lethal economy of words. You see, he didn't just write about war. He essentially fought a war right there on the page, relentlessly stripping away every single unnecessary syllable, until literally nothing but the raw, bleeding truth was left. To map out his deeply divided mind today, we'll explore 5 key themes: the ultimate literary outsider, intellect versus brutal violence, the art of minimalist horror, the Odessa gangster myth, and finally, the master of silence. So, let's start with Section 1, the ultimate literary outsider, the ultimate paradox. Now, this right here is the central tension of Babel's entire life. We have Kirill Yudov, the narrator of Babel's famous cycle, Red Cavalry. And Lutov is essentially a stand-in for Babel himself, right? He's a myopic, Jewish, bespectacled man of books. Yet somehow, he's embedded with Semyon Bujani's First Cavalry Army. These Cossacks he's writing with are largely illiterate, violently anti-Semitic, and yet they possess this magnificent, almost unreflective physical grace. It's kind of an impossible contradiction when you think about it. A Jewish intellectual riding alongside the very horsemen who historically oppressed his people. How does a person even begin to bridge that massive, terrifying gap? That brings us to Section 2, intellect versus brutal violence, the moral vertigo. Imagine putting yourself in Lutov's shoes in one of Babel's most famous short stories, My First Goose. Ludov is desperate, just desperate, for acceptance from these hardened Cossacks who absolutely despise his reading glasses and what they see as his softness. So, to earn a place among them, he actually commits an act of theatrical cruelty. He brutally kills a peasant woman's goose. The act completely disgusts him, but the crazy thing is, it works. He's welcomed to the campfire where he reads Lenin aloud to these violent men as they listen. But he's left facing this agonizing moral ambiguity. The intellectual literally has to perform violence to survive, but he corrupts himself in the process. Was this initiation a triumph of survival, or was it just a tragic self-betrayal? Babel brilliantly refuses to resolve this for us. He's simultaneously repulsed by the violence, but at the same time enviously drawn to the Cossacks' raw vitality. And this whole situation leaves us with such an agonizing question. Where is the sweet revolution if it comes soaked in blood? This isn't just subtext, it's raised directly by characters in his stories, like the old Jewish shopkeeper Gedali. Leitov, wearing the uniform of the revolution, is witnessing this very movement bringing horrific pogroms and destruction to Polish and Galician Jewish towns. I mean, the revolution promised universal liberation, right? But it's out there spilling the blood of his own people. And Leitov has absolutely no real answer for Gedali. It adds this profound layer of historical irony and self-censorship that just hangs over the entire text. Let's move into Section 3, the art of minimalist horror, aestheticized violence. Okay, so Babel used this really unique montage technique, heavily influenced by 1920s cinema. He'd craft this lush, painterly, totally serene description of nature, and then, bam, he would abruptly end it with a sentence of sudden, unfeeling slaughter. And he provides absolutely no connective tissue between the two. He gives you these totally serene setups, followed by horrifying conclusions, but crucially, he offers zero authorial condemnation. It forces you, the reader, to supply the emotional bridge. And honestly, it creates a deeply unsettling effect. It perfectly stages the danger that finding aesthetic pleasure in violence might actually numb our ethical response to it. This philosophy of absolute compression is anchored perfectly by one of his most famous quotes. No iron can pierce the human heart as icily as a period placed at the right time. Babel revised obsessively. Actually, obsessively might be an understatement. He would reportedly write over 20 drafts for a story that ended up being just 2 pages long. 20 drafts. He was endlessly hunting for the right punctuation, practicing this brutal discipline of cutting and cutting until his sentences weren't just prose anymore. They literally became sharp, lethal images designed to pierce the heart. Now we'll pivot a bit for Section 4, the Odessa gangster myth, comic myth-making. Enter Benya Krik. This guy is a flamboyant folk hero, a bandit king operating in the Jewish gangster underworld of the Moldovanka district in pre-revolutionary Odessa.
We are in a totally different world now. The prose here is thick with Yiddish syntax that's been transliterated into Russian. It's full of biblical cadences and fantastic market-stall humor. Benya is a gangster who robs with this sort of Baroque courtesy, and he negotiates with the police as an absolute equal. These gangsters are a stark departure from the victims of war we just talked about. They are physically confident, commercially shrewd, darkly funny, and the undisputed bosses of their turf. Scholars actually see this gangster myth as a brilliant wish image. Just think about the powerlessness and anxiety of the Jewish victims in the war stories of Red Cavalry. Benya Creek and his crew are the complete antidote to that. They represent this imagined, alternative vision of Jewish physical power and unshakable vitality. Finally, we reach Section 5, the Master of Silence, Legacy and Death. Looking at the arc of his life, we see this agonizing historical irony play out over just 2 decades. In 1920, Babel rides with the Cossacks. By 1926, he publishes Red Cavalry to massive acclaim. But then, as totalitarian control tightens in the 1930s, Babel stops publishing. He even famously joked that he had become the great master of a new literary style, the genre of silence. But, it really wasn't a joke for long. In 1939, he was arrested on completely fabricated espionage charges, and tragically, in 1940, he was executed in Stalin's purges. The very author who chronicled revolutionary violence with such divided, intense fascination was ultimately devoured by that exact same machine. His immortal legacy, though, is one of refusing the easy consolations of either heroic myth or simple condemnation. He never wrote propaganda. He never wrote comfortable moral fables. And because of this unflinching commitment to moral ambiguity and extreme compression, he profoundly influenced generations of writers, including heavyweights like Ernest Hemingway. Today, his work stands as the essential literary response to the catastrophic violence of the 20th century. I want to leave you with this one provocative final thought to ponder. If surviving the revolution requires becoming the terror, who really wins? It's a profound question that Isaac Babel lived, wrote, and ultimately died by. It challenges us to look closely at the true cost of survival in a brutal world. Definitely keep that in mind the next time you read a simple, perfectly placed period at the end of a sentence. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and always keep questioning the narratives around you.
Welcome to the Digital Academy of Enriching Arts. Here, we cross the boundaries of time to explore the greatest triumphs of human creativity. But to keep this journey going, we need a little help from you.
If you enjoy diving deep into the masterpieces of literature and philosophy, be sure to hit that like button. It helps us bring these timeless stories to more people. To ensure you never miss our latest explorations into the breathtaking worlds of classical music and fine art, hit subscribe and ring the bell. And if you want to help us build a community of true art lovers, share this channel with your friends. The Academy is always accepting new students.
Welcome to the Digital Academy of Enriching Arts. Here, we cross the boundaries of time to explore the greatest triumphs of human creativity. But to keep this journey going, we need a little help from you.
If you enjoy diving deep into the masterpieces of literature and philosophy, be sure to hit that like button. It helps us bring these timeless stories to more people. To ensure you never miss our latest explorations into the breathtaking worlds of classical music and fine art, hit subscribe and ring the bell. And if you want to help us build a community of true art lovers, share this channel with your friends. The Academy is always accepting new students.